Okay guys, we got another Jeep 411 install for you here. Today we're going to be replacing the stock steering on this 2017 JK.
Yeah, you know I bought the time and I never raced. Got to, shake.
All right, so basically on Don's Jeep here, we have a RockJock steering that's been on here for about 6 years. And 5 of those 6 years, it's had RAM assist on it instead of a steering stabilizer like the one we just installed. So this one will give you an idea of one that's taken a bunch of abuse. Now on this steering, I think we've replaced 2 of the cartridge joints over the 6 years, but this Jeep gets beat really hard and it has a lot of hard miles on it. The reason it's important to have this RockJock steering is basically, the steering is one of the lowest points in the front of the vehicle. And if you look at all the scrapes and bangs and bruises on the tie rod, you can see how heavy duty it is. A lot of times you hit a rock with the stock tie rod, it just bends and it's non-serviceable after that. This tie rod, because of its size and everything, you can hit rocks and scrape and drag and it's still serviceable. As you can see with this one here, 6 years of hard service and it's still going strong. So here we got the stock tie rod off this JK, and this is what we're going to be replacing it with. And this is the RockJock heavy duty steering. And basically you can see here the difference between the stock ends and the RockJock ends. It's a much stronger setup. So we're going to go ahead and install this. This one's already removed. One of the nice benefits to this steering is in this particular orientation, this RockJock CurrectLync is set up for a underneath mount, whereas this Jeep is set up for a high steer. So what we're going to have to do to start with is we're going to have to we're going to take this joint out, we're going to flip it over, and then we're going to re-drill out the knuckle and put a flip bushing in. So one of the nice benefits of this steering is if you have a Reed Racing knuckle, or if you have a custom setup where you want this to be mounted on the top instead of the bottom, we can go ahead and we can spin these joints out and we can make it a high steer or a low steer. So follow along and we'll do that first, and then we'll go over and start drilling out the knuckle. Okay, so the first thing we have to do in order to switch this around is we have to take this little spring clip off. And the little spring clip right here, which is what holds this boot on. So now we can pull the boot off. And now that we have the boot off of that, we can actually, Currie gives you a little tool that you can use, a hammer, to loosen that. We've custom machined a socket for it. So basically we can just spin that guy right out, turn it the other direction. Oh, wait a minute.
No, you took it out that way.
That's the way we want it, right?
Yeah, because it's going down.
Yep, it's going down. So basically we just take that guy, we'll screw it back in the other direction. And now that that joint is tightened in the other direction, we can put the boot back on and reassemble the clip to hold the boot around the ring there. Now that we have this joint switched over, you can see that we have this set up for a high steer option. So now, in order for this to fit the Jeep, we have to remove the existing high steer bracket that's on there. This is an AEV setup, and they've got a little bushing that they switch this around so that you can replace this drag link when you do an AEV kit. So now that we have this removed, we'll knock their little insert out. Held it in, huh?
Yes, sir. Until it didn't.
Until it didn't.
Until it didn't.
Okay, so this is a pretty cool product. So AEV has a skinny tie rod end, and then they have this tapered bushing that you put in from the bottom. And what this does is it converts the reverse taper to this direction, which now you have a straight end through there, and this index is into the stock knuckle. Since we're taking that out and we're going to replace it with the RockJock, we need to put our own flip bushing in. So this is a tapered bushing, and this basically we're going to drill out the knuckle with a 7/8 drill bit. We're going to slide this guy in, and then our new RockJock tie rod or drag link will drop right in, and that'll convert it from a low mount to a high mount. Notice we were hitting the pitman arm with a hammer to get the taper to remove. A lot of people stick like a pickle fork in there or something, but basically if you just hit it, it'll vibrate it out of there. Basically, we're going to install this end of the drag link. Okay, and we'll come back and tighten that up in a second. So now what we want to do is we go ahead and put our tapered sleeve in over here. And one thing we like to do is when we get ready to put these sleeves in, like to use a little bit of green 609 Loctite, which is kind of a retaining compound. So we like to just put a little bit in there so this doesn't spin when it's in the knuckle. So we'll set that in there like that. And then we can come back in here. Bring that guy in like that. And then we can go ahead and tighten that down. So we're just going to come back and tighten up this one at the hip arm. Now we can get ready to install our tie rod. One of the things we like to do on the RockJock steering is because this tie rod end is so large, it will rub on this little shield right here and push against the brakes. So what we like to do is just trim off this edge. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and install this steering stabilizer bracket for the steering stabilizer. Okay, so what we like to do as far as adjusting here is you want to pull the steering stabilizer all the way out, and then we want to turn the steering all the way to the driver's side so that this is all the way out, and then that's where we'll lock that down. just tighten up the steering stabilizer bolt and we'll be all done with that part. Okay, steering stabilizer is all nice and done. And on some steering stabilizers, depending on which direction it's orientated, this little rib, this little threaded part of this U-bolt's going to hit the top here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we'll cut those off so that the stabilizer doesn't rub on those. And then we'll basically be ready to align this.